Hello, I'm Christopher Hine, and today we're going to be talking about, I forgot what I was going to talk because I was doing a new intro and I'm all messed up. But so today we're going to talk about force angle in the IPITIS, so internal training. So when we're looking at internal training, one of the ways I like to break that up is force angle. Force angle could be used for an alignment, right? So you could say an alignment is a force angle. And sometimes we'll also use force angles that go perpendicular depending on what we want to achieve. So when we're talking about all the internal power stuff, you got to understand that we're using both sides of it, right? So to seem like we are more powerful sometimes, and also to make other people seem like they are weaker, right? Or you don't tell them they're weaker, you tell them that that you're so strong that you can resist what they're doing, right? But it's a way to change the angle of the force to what they're doing, and it'll be deceptive for them and make it really hard for them to make a lot of force. And then also you can improve the angle to align the angle to make yourself seem really strong. So I know this might sound confusing, but I bet I can clear it up right now. I'll call Josh over here. We'll go to work. Josh? All right, so let's talk about force angle here. Okay, force angle might be a weird way to say this. It's just the way I say it. And it's because it incorporates a whole lot of different weird stuff. The way that force is applied and the angle of that force and the angle of the force that's resisting it is really, really important, right? So most of the time, the way our brains kind of think of force is like this. So if Josh had his hands up and he's pushing against me, that I push against Josh's hands, and so his force is coming this way and my force is coming that way, and if Josh is stronger than me, he'll push me over, and if I'm stronger than Josh, I push Josh over, right? So that's a real common way to think of it. I'm going to show it with the stick because the stick to me makes a demonstration kind of fun. Okay, so if I was showing you that and I was telling you that, you know, Josh is going to push me over, and so his objective is just to push me straight over like that, okay? And I stand here like this, and Josh goes to push me over. Okay, now look, he's pushing pretty dang hard. Pushing pretty hard, and I'm on one foot, and this guy can't shove me over. And why can't he shove me over, right? Well, he can't shove me over because while Josh is pushing this direction, I'm pushing this direction. So the angle of the force that I'm resisting him with isn't this way, right? And if I'm on one foot and Josh pushes against me and I'm on one foot, this is what happens, right? He just pushes me right over. Because I'm not stable as Josh is, and so when we're pushing this way, he'll win. But when I push up like this, Josh's muscles can't work two directions at one time. They either have to go this way or this way. So if I'm pushing against him this way, he will start to naturally, even without him knowing it, start pushing down, right? So he's going to start pushing against me down. Now what that does is actually roots me a little more, right? So makes me a little more connected to the ground, and him a little less connected to the ground, so that helps. Plus, he cannot push as hard this way because he's using his force this way. So he's kind of alternating his force between down and out and down and out and down and out. So he feels about half as strong as he normally would be because he's using about half as much force, right? So the time's alternating between the two. So while Josh is pushing directly into me this way, I'm pushing up against him, and it makes me seem really strong. There was a woman who went all around the world showing these demonstrations back at the turn of the century. They called her the Georgia Magnet. There's actually several different variations that showed these different kinds of demonstrations. And basically, force angle was her #1 trick, right? She did a few other things, but force angle was her #1. And force angle is really, really deceptive when you're doing that. Now, force angle can be used in another way, and we use it all the time when we do the demonstration. So like, if Josh pushes into me like this, and he pushes into me, right, and I'm really stable, this is also force angle. Now, this is working in a different way because what I'm doing is I'm allowing that force to come in as straight into my body as I can and be into the ground, right? So the force angle of this Joe right now is really good. It's really strong. So if I push down into it, I can't push it down because it's so strong. And essentially, when I'm resisting Josh like that, this is what I'm doing. I'm kind of lining this up. Now, it would be perfect. It would be perfect if I could put my feet against the wall and completely resist him. I'd be really strong. Or if Josh stood on my shoulders, the force would go perfectly down into the ground. I'd be really strong, right? I'd seem very, very strong. But it's just the angle of the force. I'm allowing that force to come into a way that I'm super, super stable. So that's also a demonstration of force angle. If we were down here like this, and I showed this demonstration last time. Go ahead and sit and say it with me. So I showed this demonstration last time on the leverage. If we're like this and Josh is pushing my hands straight down to the ground, so he's trying to lock my hands down. Now if I try to go directly against Josh's force up and into them, I can't do it. But if I change the force angle, all of a sudden I seem so friggin' strong. Why? Because when Josh is pushing my hand this way, instead of pushing against his hand this way, I'm pulling my hand at a 90-degree angle to his force. So when he pushes down, I pull up like this. Now I can make my force angle 0, like we learned in the leverage, and I can drive into him and I seem really, really, really strong. And the reason is because I initially used force angle to take away from the force that he was using to lock me down to the ground, and then I aligned my force so I go straight into him and I get the better leverage like we talked about last time, and that's how that works, right? So there's tons and tons of ways to use force angle. Just remember, if someone's trying to push at you, pushing directly back at them, unless you're stronger, isn't a good idea. But you can change the angle of the force, and when you do that, it'll be much harder for them to attack you because their muscle only works in one direction at a time. So this is a basic overview of force angle. If it seems a little fuzzy, let me know and I'll make some more videos. Last time Maya told me my leverage video I talked too fast, so maybe I'll come back in and I'll make some where I talk a little slower. Actually, maybe I'll just write it out and then you can read it at whatever pace you would like to read it at. So that's force angle. We're going to come in next time and talk to you a little bit more about how this kind of stuff works. I'll describe a few of the other ones. I'm Christopher Hine. This is Joshua Teehee. Maya Solano McDaniel is behind that camera right there. And we'll see you next week.